Fellow men, I am not an Irishman, yet I can feel for you. I hope there are none among you who will read this address with prejudice or levity, because it is made by an Englishman. Indeed, I believe there are not. The Irish are a brave nation. They have a heart of liberty in their breasts, but they are much mistaken if they fancy that a stranger cannot have as warm a one. Those are my brothers and my countrymen who are unfortunate. I should like to know what there is in a man of being an Englishman, a Spaniard, or a Frenchman, that makes him worse or better than he really is. He was born in one town, you in another, but that is no reason why he should not feel for you, desire your benefit, or be willing to give you some advice which may make you more capable of knowing your own interest, or acting so as to secure it. There are many Englishmen who cry down the Irish, and think it answers their ends to revile all that belongs to Ireland. But it is not because these men are Englishmen that they maintain such opinions, but because they wish to get money, and titles, and power. They would act in this manner to whatever country they might belong, until mankind is much altered for the better, which reform I hope will one day be effected. I address you then as my brothers and my fellow men, for I should wish to see the Irishman who, if England was persecuted as Ireland is, who, if France was persecuted as Ireland is, who, if any set of men that helped to do a public service were prevented from enjoying its benefits as Irishmen are. I should like to see the man, I say, who would see these misfortunes and not attempt to succor the sufferers when he could, just that I might tell him that he was no Irishman, but some bastard mongrel bred up in a court, or some coward fool who was a democrat to all above him, and an aristocrat to all below him. I think there are few true Irishmen who would not be ashamed of such a character, still fewer who possess it. I know that there are some, not among you, my friends, but among your enemies, who, seeing the title of this piece, will take it up with a sort of hope that it may recommend violent measures, and thereby disgrace the cause of freedom, that the warmth of an heart desirous that liberty should be possessed equally by all will vent itself in the abuse on the enemies of liberty. Bad men who deserve the contempt of the good, and not to excite their indignation to the harm of their cause. But these men will be disappointed. I know the warm feelings of an Irishman sometimes carries him beyond the point of prudence. I do not desire to root out, but to moderate this honourable warmth. This will disappoint the pioneers of oppression, and they will be sorry. Though this address nothing will occur which can be twisted into any other meaning, but which is calculated to fill you with that moderation which they have not, and to make you give them that toleration which they refuse to grant you. You profess the Roman Catholic religion, which your fathers professed before you. Whether it is the best religion or not, I will not here inquire. All religions are good which make men good, and the way that a person ought to prove that his method of worshipping God is best is for himself to be better than all other men. But we will consider what your religion was in old times and what it is now. You may say it is not a fair way for me to proceed as a Protestant, but I am not a Protestant, nor am I a Catholic, and therefore, not being a follower of either of these religions, I am better able to judge between them. A Protestant is my brother, and a Catholic is my brother. I am happy when I can do either of them a service, and no pleasure is so great to me that, which I should feel if my advice could make men of any professions of faith wiser, better, and happier. The Roman Catholics once persecuted the Protestants. The Protestants now persecute the Roman Catholics. Should we think that one is as bad as the other? No, you are not answerable for the faults of your fathers, any more than the Protestants are good for the goodness of their fathers. I must judge of people as I see them. The Irish Catholics are badly used. I will not endeavour to hide from them their wretchedness. They would think that I mock them if I should make the attempt. The Irish Catholics now demand for themselves and proffer to others unlimited toleration, and the sensible part among them, which I am willing to think constitutes a very large portion of their body, knows that the gates of heaven are open to people of every religion, provided that they are good. But the Protestants, although they may think so in their hearts, which certainly, if they think it all, they must, seem to act as if they thought that God was better pleased with him than with you. They trust the reins of earthly government only to the hands of their own sect. In spite of this, I never found one of them impudent enough to say that a Roman Catholic, or a Quaker, or a Jew, or a Mahometan If he was a virtuous man, then all the good in his power would go to heaven a bit the slower for not subscribing to the 39 Articles. And if he should say so, how ridiculous in a foppus courtier not 6 feet high to direct the spirit of universal harmony, in what manner to conduct the affairs of the universe. The Protestants say that there was a time when the Roman Catholics burnt and murdered people of different sentiments, and that their religious tenets are now as they were then. This is all very true. You certainly worship God in the same way that you did when those barbarities took place. But is that any reason that you should now be barbarous? There is as much reason to suppose it as to suppose that a man's great-grandfather, who was a Jew, had been hung for sheep-stealing, that I, by believing the same religion as he did, must certainly commit the same crime. Let us then see what the Roman Catholic religion has been. No one knows much of the early times of the Christian religion until about 300 years after its beginning. Two great churches, called the Roman and the Greek churches, divided the opinions of men. They fought for a very long time, a great many words were wasted, and a great deal of blood shed. This, as you may suppose, did no good. Each party, however, thought they were doing God a service, and that he would reward them. If they had looked an inch before their noses, they might have found that fighting and killing men, and cursing them and hating them, was the very worst way for getting into favor with a being who is allowed by all to be best pleased with deeds of love and charity. At last, however, these two religions entirely separated, and the popes resigned like kings and bishops at Rome. The popes reigned like kings and bishops at Rome in Italy. The Inquisition was set up,